Hey guys, what's going on? So I've got this Mark III red stripe long head here that, the story is I had this years ago and I sold it to a local friend. He gigged with it for a couple years and then decided that he was ready to move on and called me up and said, hey, do you want to buy it back? And I'm like, yeah, that was a good amp. Yeah, I'll for sure buy that back. So bought it back and it's still a fantastic amp. Done a couple recent tone tests with it with some slaving and with some other things. But what I'm going to do today is I've had 3 Mark IIIs. This is the 3rd one, and I've played others. And this is the best one that I've played, this red stripe. It's just so much smoother, growly. It's just got a killer tone. But it's time for service. It's all original, 25, 27 years old, whatever. Time for caps, the reverb's not working. There's a couple little things in there that it's like, okay, it's time to send it in for service. Because with all these old boogies, I've sent them all into Mesa to have Mike B work on them for me to, give it a cap job, refresh, make it good as new so, that I can enjoy the amp for another 25 years without worrying about it. This time I'm going to do something a little different. I was struggling because I kind of have that if it's not broke, don't fix it philosophy, and this amp is fantastic. But I also like aggression and modding things. So I am going to have Mike B do the 3++ mod on this thing. If you recall, I've had 2 C+ and I've had 2 C++. With the Mark IIIs, he can do a 3+ mod, which smooths it out, and also a 3++ mod, which there's not a lot of info out there on those. There's a couple guys that have had them, but there's not a lot of good audio clips. So what I'm going to do is I have this set up here on my OS slant, mic'd. Got my ESP Hanneman. I'm going to hold the control on this where I get it set up just exactly like this. And I'm going to play some stuff on all 3 channels. Then I'm going to box it up, I'm going to ship it off. And then when I get it back, I'm going to set it up exactly the same. I've got all my measurements, etc., etc. And we're going to do the same thing. So that way I can actually get you guys a legit comparison of what a solid Mark III sounds like versus a Mark III++. So I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be cool to see that before and after, and nobody's really done that before. And that's that. So anyway, let's get to some tones for the stock Mark III red stripe. Then I'll box this thing up, ship it out, and I will re-record the next bit in about 3 weeks. All right, thanks guys. What up? It's back. All right, so my red stripe has been off at Mesa for the last few weeks getting worked on. So I just wanted to kind of give you an unboxing here and show you a little bit about the process, because I've had this done maybe 10 or so times now on these older vintage amps. So you pack it up, you send it out, pay them some money, you wait about 3 weeks, and you get back an amp that's basically new. They go through it, replace all the caps, do all the service, pots, test all the resistors. In my case, I also had it modded, as I said, to a 3++. And this is what you get back. They do a super nice job with the packing. I actually save the box because, invariably I'll probably get another one in the future that I send back out. Send in the reverb tank. In this case, the old reverb tank was toast. So I went ahead and just got a brand new reverb tank. Show you guys that. So a nice new reverb tank to put it all back together with. And then of course, the chassis. Oops. All packed and insulated, bagged and tagged. So a lot of people ask, what's the process for going through and sending stuff off? Is it worth it? Absolutely. I highly recommend sending your vintage Mesa in to Mesa to be serviced, because you're going to get something back that's, as good as it can possibly be. Good to go for another, 20, 30 years of service, which is, kind of the interval for the caps. So sorry, so
Anyway, here we have the chassis. And also, another thing to point out is you just send them the chassis. Like, these are all the parts. I took everything apart. There's no reason to send them this stuff. So this stuff just sits in the corner until it gets back. But anyway, that's that. That's what you get back in the box. And I just wanted to show, because a lot of people really have a lot of questions about you know, what the process is to send one of these things out. I've done it a ton of times, so if you have any questions, let me know. So next, I'm going to put my new Red Stripe 3++ back in its chassis. Let's get this thing to make some noise. All right. All right, guys, got everything back together. So here's the 3++ back in its shell. Got everything set up and mic'd exactly how I did the first time around before I sent it off to have the ++ mod done. I just wanted to point out a couple more things that aren't super obvious. When you have one of these things recapped, I find that when you get it back, the first few hours you play the thing, it sounds really stiff and the new caps need to break in for whatever reason. So I've actually spent the last couple days with this thing on and playing it, so to try to get those broken in, because if I tried to record it too soon, it just wouldn't sound right. So it's broken in enough now. The thing is ripping, sounds super good. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set back up so that I can give those comparisons. How the 3++ mod is set up is, you know, when you have this pushed in, obviously you're on the clean channel. You know, when you pull this out, obviously you're on rhythm 2. And then over here, you pull this out for the lead channel. But when you just pull this, it's a 3+. To get the full 3++, you have to pull both of these, and it gooses it even more. But a couple other things that I've found, before and after the mod, doing the treble pull shift does also add some gain. After the mod, though, it also compresses it a little bit. So that's something you really have to be careful of, because you may or may not want that. And then also, you know, the way the high end is interacting on the ++, because it's been smoothed out a lot from a stock 3. So, you know, you really have to manipulate the presence in the 6600 to kind of get it to sound best. You can't just use the same settings that you used when it was a 3, because it's not going to sound best. So I'll try to tweak the settings to be in the spirit of what it was sounding like before to try to get a fair comparison, but it's probably not going to be exactly the same, because the way everything works is actually just different now. The amp is very different. It no longer, to me, sounds like a Mark III. You know, Mark IIIs have a lot of hair, and, you know, this sound, to me, I call it the 1987 sound, you know, because they used the Mark III Coliseum on Whitesnake 1987. And to me, this amp, before we sent it out, was 1987 in a box. It's different now. It's kind of hard to explain. It's smoothed out, so it's kind of got the smoothness of a 2C+, but it's a little more compressed like a Mark IV, and without that Mark III hair. So it's kind of this weird hybrid. And, you know, I'm trying to spend some time with it to see, you know, do I like it? I think this is really a gift, and I just kind of have to spend some time to figure out what the heck this amp is. It still does not have the liquid lead of a 2C+. You cannot get the liquid lead of a 2C+ without having a 2C+. It's just not going to happen. But on the gain side, on the rhythm side, this is more aggressive. You know, Mark IIIs are more aggressive than Mark IIs. It's just the way it is. And on 3+ mode, this is a little more aggressive than a C+. And it's somewhere between a C+ and a ++. And then on this thing in 3++ mode, it's more aggressive than a C++. You know, I've had 2 of them. The C++ still has more of that kind of organic, bouncy, grindy nature, which is really special, but this is still very smooth and it's more aggressive. So it's different. You know, it's not a replacement for it. It's very close, but it's a C+ is still a better tonal amp, a better feeling amp, but this is damn close for about 1/3 the cost. So I'm really warming up to it. Just wanted to kind of give some basic initial impressions. Now I'm going to go ahead and dial in some tones, and you can hear what it sounds like after the mod. And I'll do, you know, the clean channel, the R2 channel, the lead channel, and then both of them pulled to get the full ++ effect. So there will be a 4th setup that you'll see here that just wasn't a thing back before this was modded. So anyway, check it out, guys, and let me know what you think about the before and after tone. And yeah, killer amp. Talk to you guys later. Bye. All right, guys, so what did you think about those differences? After listening to it myself, there's just a couple more things I wanted to follow up with to kind of close out the video. First, I don't know if I mentioned it, I was using my ESP Hanneman, of course. So I've got on the clean channel, I was using the EMG 85, and on the dirty stuff, I was using the EMG 81. Also, before this went out, the reverb was broken. So when it came back, I also recorded everything with the reverb off, and then I went ahead and added just a little bit of reverb in post, because normally I would run with the reverb on these things just about 3. So I did give it a little bit of kiss or reverb there, just to kind of even it all out, but I did it in post. You know, the thing that I noticed once again is that what's being captured in the recording is not as intense as what's being captured in the room. And that's something that I've noticed a lot. You know, I don't have like super professional recording equipment. And I just wanted to mention that. But what you can tell in the room is that the 3 Plus, it's much more clear, more clarity. It's like the blanket has kind of come off of it. And that's a really pronounced thing. And I think that part of it does kind of come across in the recording as well. And also with this mod, you know, you get the R2 volume on the back. So this is truly a usable 3-channel amp now. You know, stock Mark III, it's kind of hard to get all 3 channels to balance, but with this, now you can actually balance all 3 channels. So in a live situation, you could easily use this thing and have a clean channel, you know, a rhythm channel and a lead channel all on the foot switch, which would be super awesome. And speaking of, the last thing is I did use this at band practice last night, and it's killer. Like, to be perfectly honest, with all of the 2C pluses I've had, where I ended up getting lost on those things was in the band mix. I just didn't really like how they sounded in the band. I don't know what else to say. They kind of had this nasally hump that I didn't really care for. This doesn't really have that. Once again, with the Mark, you really got to be careful with the GEQ, because there's a fine line between, oh my god, I disappeared because I pulled out too much mids, and way too much mids for metal, you know. But with this, I was able to balance it without kind of having that little nasally thing. I really enjoyed this in the band mix. I liked it more than the C pluses. And to be honest, in R2 killed it in the band mix. You know, a lot of times in the band, you actually sound better with less gain than more gain. And so I'm really looking forward to utilizing this more, where I've got, you know, the rhythms on R2, maybe with or without a boost. In the case last night, no boost. And then, you know, still have a totally separate lead channel. So I think it's going to be really versatile, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, just wanted to follow up with some final thoughts, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye.